30 years of joyfulness. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM and hits 103.9 FM here in Accra, Love 99.5 in Kumasi, and my joyonline.com. We're also live in all 16 regions of Ghana via our various affiliates. It's also live on X Spaces and Facebook. The Midday News is supported by Petol, Platinum Energy, Energizing Dreams. And coming up this afternoon, the National Economic Dialogue is underway as stakeholders convene to address Ghana's economic challenges. We'll hear from the Finance Minister, Dr. Keta, who has cautioned that the country remains in economic turmoil, emphasizing the need for significant sacrifices to restore stability.
The situation requires significant sacrifice from all of us to stem the bleeding and place our economy back on the right trajectory.
We have details from the Accra International Conference Center, where he's also been detailing the poor state of Ghana's energy sector, which is currently contributing to the economic crisis.
I still maintain that tariffs should not be used to reward ECG's inefficiencies and other inefficiencies in the system.
We'll be heading there live and hearing also President John Mahama addressing stakeholders on the economic situation of the country. Also coming up this afternoon.
What is stopping him from acting? It's not consultations we need. We need action. And we have the personnel to take the action. All we need is the orders to be given. So please get your priorities right and act to save Ghanaians from environmental terrorism.
Environmental advocates frustrated with the pace of response to illegal mining activities, as they say a state of emergency is urgently needed to end the menace.
Mr. President, we are urging you to declare a state of emergency to enable you to deal with the hotspots.
These and more with me, Maame Esi Nyamekye Thompson. This is Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible. Stay for details. And this afternoon, Finance Minister Dr. Keta Thompson has warned that the country's current economic crisis will require significant sacrifices to resolve, as he insists the country is not yet out of the woods. Stakeholders have converged at the Accra International Conference Center to find solutions to Ghana's economic challenges at the National Economic Dialogue. But right about now, the President is addressing stakeholders. Let's head there now and listen.
Industries and essential services operate around the clock to maximize growth and prosperity. It is time for Ghana to also step forward and break free from the limitations of a traditional economy and embrace a future where opportunity is not confined by time. Under this initiative, this administration is committed to providing incentives and tax breaks for manufacturers and businesses that extend their operational hours, encouraging a shift-based employment system that expands job opportunities. We will strengthen key sectors such as manufacturing, retail, healthcare, logistics, and financial services to support such continuous operation. We will invest in infrastructure, energy, and security to ensure businesses and workers operate in a safe and efficient environment. We will enhance transportation systems to facilitate the movement of workers and goods at all hours of the day and night. We will implement fair labor practices that protect workers' rights while fostering productivity and economic growth. The time for transformation is now. Let us embrace our economic transformation and unlock the full potential of our beloved country. Let us work together to build a resilient, competitive, and a prosperous Ghana. I fully understand that the road ahead will not be easy, but it is a road we must travel. The responsibility for rebuilding Ghana's economy does not rest on government's shoulders alone. It is a shared responsibility that requires the active participation of every Ghanaian. Let us rise to the occasion, take decisive and necessary action, and ensure that we leave behind a legacy of economic resilience, stability, and prosperity for future generations. Let me take this opportunity to thank Uncle Ishmael Yamson and the National Economic Dialogue team for the hard work you have put in bringing us here together for this all-important event. I wish to thank all of you who have taken the opportunity to be here with us this morning for your commitment to this national dialogue and for your dedication to the progress of our nation. Together, we'll build the Ghana we want and a robust economy of our own design and creation. I therefore have the honor and privilege to declare this National Economic Dialogue 2025 duly open.
And so you heard that the president giving his remarks at the economic dialogue. He's been speaking about infrastructure, improving energy and security, as well as transportation. All these fall under infrastructure to ensure that the economy is revitalized. Well, before the president spoke, we heard from the finance minister, Dr. Kesiela Tuforsen, explain that the economic crisis is still unraveling, with key economic indicators still not doing well.
From severe currency depreciation to hyperinflation, from haircut to steep tax increases, from rising inflation, from rising fuel costs to rising electricity prices, and very increasing interest rates. Fellow countrymen and women, the economic crisis isn't over. Indeed, the full length of our current crisis is still unraveling by the day. The situation requires significant sacrifice from all of us to stem the bleeding and place our economy back on the right trajectory. I'm pleased to note that His Excellency the President has taken the lead and has given the strongest signal to our commitment to sacrifice. In furtherance to his commitment, we have streamlined and realigned the size of government, evidenced by the reduction of ministers of state to 60 from the initial 123 and later to 88 ministers. We have followed. We have also followed with significant budget cuts that will be announced soon for the office of the president, and further prohibition of the first-class travels by all government officials. These actions represent merely the initial steps in our ongoing journey towards fiscal discipline and good governance.
Well, the finance minister has also been announcing a raft of new policies to reform state-owned enterprises which have been struggling, impacting the larger national economy. In particular, he zoomed into the energy crisis, particularly the struggles of the Electricity Company of Ghana.
The causes of the 2022 macroeconomic crisis can be traced well before COVID-19 and the deterioration of global economic conditions. In fact, when these shocks struck, the Ghanaian economy was already in a very precarious state. Ghana has experienced a strong growth since 2000s, beginning 2000. Strong economic growth over the past decades placed Ghana in the top 10 fastest growing countries in the sub-Saharan Africa, reaching middle income status in the year 2011. Between the year 2008 to 2019, Ghana's economy expanded by about 6.8% per year, above regional and global averages of 4.4% and 2.7% respectively. GDP per capita doubled, averaging 3% growth per year. However, the growth was driven by oil and mining, accompanied by huge debt accumulation. Oil production began in the year 2011 and contributed steadily to economic growth, representing 5% of GDP on average. Moreover, between the year 2013 and 2019, nearly 20% of GDP growth was directly attributed to mining. In fact, gold mining.
And he had Finance Minister Dr. Kesila Thompson. Let's go over to the Accra International Conference Center once again and speak to George Riafi, who is a man on the ground. George, we've heard the president. We've also heard from the finance minister as well as Dr. Ishmael Yamson on the state of the economy. How are stakeholders reacting to the submission so far? Unfortunately, we lost George Riafi there. Do we have George on the line? Okay, we don't have George as of yet, but we have a professor at the Ghana Business School, University of Ghana Business School, Dr. or Professor Patrick Esuming, joining us now. Prof, we're grateful for your time on the Midday News. How do you react to the submissions that have been given at the economic dialogue so far?
Good afternoon to listeners. Thanks for having me. So I think essentially it's been setting the stage and explaining the state of the challenge that the country faces before the actual breakout discussions that will come up with practical solutions. So it's essentially telling us the depth of the challenges, both the short term and the long term, and the difficult situation that the economy is in. I think by and large, from my point of view, it was mostly expected. Some of the details are a little surprising and shocking, but in the main, it's always been clear that the economy of Ghana is in very serious difficulty. And that's essentially what the presentations have shown so far. But the finance minister also communicated broad strategies going forward. I think it's for the deliberations to come up with specific programs and practical policies that are aligned with those programs that the finance minister listed.
Well, which ones are shocking to you?
Well, I think the extent of the energy sector debt, and then also not just that, but the projection of where the rate at which we are going to keep accumulating the debt if nothing is done. I think that was quite surprising to me. And as well as the cocoa board, the extent of the debt, and then the sources of the debt. Those were elements that, I mean, for me, the levels were quite astonishing.
Well, Prof, if we want to make this dialogue impactful, what do you propose that we do?
Well, I think the discussion should be very honest, and people should be able to speak freely, and the final or the report should capture the essence of the discussion. But most importantly, it should be clear that the president and the government is committed to implementing the main practical points. I think that would be the most important. If we spend 2 days here and then after these discussions, it just go into a report that gathers us, then there will be no point of having the gathering.
But, I mean, should someone be held accountable if after a year or so we don't see any traces of the recommendations being implemented?
Well, in the main, I hope that we don't come to that. And that, I mean, the president spoke honestly, and all the other speakers were clear in their mind that the president is committed to implementing the outcomes of the deliberation. So we hope that truly is the case.
Well, just before you go, I mean, from where you stand, do you have any belief that this time around we'll see some form of transformation after this dialogue?
I think when the budget is ready, that's when we really see. Because it's a budget that year-on-year basis form our implementable actions and plans. So I think the extent to which the discussions will fit into the budget committee will provide the first step in terms of whether we really need to implement and then improve and then chart a completely different path as has been communicated.
All right. Thank you so much. Professor Patrick Esuming is an economist with the University of Ghana Business School. Moving on, environmental advocates say they are frustrated at the slow pace of response to activities of illegal mining. This comes as a recent report by Erastus Asare Donko reveals how illegal miners in Pristia Heman, a small community in the western region, have blocked the river Ankobra at multiple points, bringing its flow to a halt. He reports the miners operating directly in the river basin have turned the water source into a stagnant, polluted pool, wreaking havoc on the environment and the livelihoods of local residents. Listen.
To better understand the workings and impact of illegal mining activities, The Minister of Lands and Natural Resources set up this team of experts to embark on a fact-finding trip across the country. At Awudia, close to Pristia, we made a shocking discovery. The Ankobra has been blocked and contained for mining purposes.
And those of you who have been contemplating and praising the new color of the Ankobra, this is the real color of the river Ankobra. So the river has been blocked, redirected, it's not really flowing well, and it's camped at Awudia.
Even more shocking is the complete blockade of the river at Pristia Heman, close to the bridge. The illegal miners have separated the river and built an embankment to prevent the river from flowing. They are now mining directly in the basin of the stagnated Ankobra River.
What we have found here at Pristia Heman is what can be described as total madness. So the flow from upstream has been blocked here, and then they are mining in the basin itself.
The river is now a stagnated brown pool beneath the Pristia Heman Bridge.
Erastus Asaridonko with that report. Well, frustrated at what they say is a slow pace of response to the environmental threat. Coordinator of Eco-Conscious Awulasewa sends this direct message to President Mahama, urging a halt to the consultations and resort to action to end this deadly menace.
Excellency, you came and you said you wanted to reset Ghana. Before you came to office, you said you repealed LI 2462. The law that allows mining in forest reserves. You haven't done so. Ghanaians are disappointed. We know where all the hotspots are. We know the forest reserves that are being devastated. Mr. President, we are urging you to declare a state of emergency to enable you to deal with the hotspots. We're not talking about shoot to kill, which is just untenable. What we are saying is that equip the army, let them go there and remove all the environmental terrorists and their equipment, and then trace the owners of the equipment and also prosecute them. Use the polluter pays principle so that anybody who is polluting our environment would be prosecuted, their assets seized and used towards the cost of reclamation. What's the point of recovering all the stolen money when we are all dying of kidney disease or other diseases brought about by the pollutants in the water?
Special Prosecutor Kisia Jabing has revealed the dangers and threats on his role. Speaking at the Constitution Day public lecture, he revealed that his office's relentless fight against corruption has made him and his colleagues targets, forcing them to navigate constant life-threatening risks as they take on powerful adversaries.
No one wants to be called out as suspected of engaging in corruption and corruption-related activities. And so, there is always a strong pushback intended at deflecting the focus of scrutiny and accountability. The pushback is reflected in so many forms, including the sponsorship of attacks and vile publications against the special prosecutor. Sadly, some of the enemies the job attracts would not hesitate to take a life should opportunity present itself. Thus, my security risk is ultra high, and I have to perpetually be on the lookout for attacks on my person. Same applies to especially the operational officers of the OSP. Such is the volatility in which the fight against corruption is being waged in our nation. This perhaps accounts for the realism of only a few good men in the space, as I see it.
Well, Mr. Jabing also makes some recommendations to combat corruption.
We must highlight the vexed question of the opacity attending political party financing and the monetization of public elections. This will surely change the narrative. We must set up specialized anti-corruption courts, manned by especially trained judges in the field to swiftly and efficiently deal with corruption cases. Related to this, we must, in practice, not just as written in the Constitution, assure the independence of the judiciary and fortify in it a culture of the defense of truth and the reward of integrity. Justice, fundamental to any thriving society, cannot flourish in the context of corruption. The scales of justice should remain untainted, if the fight against corruption is to attain any notable result. Corruption itself is curtailed through justice, and the absence of justice begets corruption. It is much like light and darkness. The brighter justice shines, the dimmer corruption gets.
Special Prosecutor Kisia Jabeng speaking on corruption. Now, students of Savannah College of Education in Daboya in the Savannah region locked up lecture halls and boycotted all academic activities this afternoon, vowing to confront any lecturer who attempts to enter the school. The aggrieved students accused the college management of deception, claiming they were misled into believing the institution had been absorbed into the public sector. They argue that the college was listed on the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission's website as a public institution, only to be informed otherwise after gaining admission. And our Savannah regional correspondent Isaac Nonya joins me with more. Isaac, what's the current situation at the school?
Yes, many of the students have left campus, while the rest are trying to leave tomorrow. I will speak. The vice principal of the school have tried engaging the agitation students, but they denied access to him, claiming that they would rather meet the principal instead of him.
What are the students' main concerns, really, if the school is a public institution or not?
The main concern is that they were told to patronize a public school, but only to get there and realize that the school is not listed under public school, the public sector. And what they did is that either they give them they do a refund of their money to them, or they go ahead and make the thing to be listed under the public educational sector. But the management also trying to say that, look, the thing was put there in the form of making it to be a process, so that along the line they were able to complete whatever they need to do to get a school accredited.
Well, are there any indications from the authorities or even government on addressing their concerns?
Yes, we are told the management is meeting the board of directors, and from there they will be meeting the patron of the school, who happen to be the paramount chief of Gonja, Yagbenwura, being Kunutu Soli. As we speak, a 5-member chief have been dispatched to meet the patron, and from there they will also know whether they are dispatching another group of chiefs to meet the president to see how they can resolve this matter once and for all.
All right, thank you so much, Isaac Nonya, and you're still listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. We'll be taking a break and we'll come back with sports, and also in our Ghana Man series today, we'll tell you about the Mole National Park, nearly 1.5 times the size of the Greater Accra, and Ghana's only game reserve spanning 3 regions.
So big that it covers a land area of 4,577 square kilometers, which is very greater than almighty Greater Accra. It has this variety of biodiversity in terms of flora and fauna.
Where did I? Now I don't know when I just saw.
Obiang, what's the chrome ha? And to want to say Petol for your energizing dreams for motion. Hey boy.
Petrosol are celebrating their 10 years in grand style. They're giving back to their loyal customers. Hope you have registered at their online portal. Don't say I didn't tell you.
Each month, customers will stand a chance of winning items like tricycles, motorcycles, television sets, refrigerators, phones, fuel vouchers, and many more. But the best part is that at the end of the promo, we will be giving out a grand prize of 2 Suzuki Espresso cars to lucky winners who stay with us all through the promo period. All you need to join is to visit any of our over 100 stations across the country to get registered, or go to www.petrosolcrm.com to register online.
Petrosol, energizing dreams.
Welcome back to the Midday News. Now, civil works on 3 of the Agenda 111 health projects commissioned under Ecofado are yet to be completed. Health Minister Kwabena Minta-Kando says the works for all the facilities are below 95% complete. Though facilities at Trede, Oforikrom and Ahanta West districts were commissioned 2 days before the 2024 elections, there were no plans in place for handing over to the Ghana Health Service for operationalization. The Health Minister, who is touring some facilities, say contractors at the Trede facility alone are owed over 100 million cedis.
We are here at the Agenda 111 Health Facility at Trede. It's one of the Agenda 111 projects that was commissioned by His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo on the 5th of December 2024. So the expectation of every Ghanaian is that we have patients here responding to treatment, quality healthcare delivery is going on here. Unfortunately, the place is still a construction site, as you have all witnessed. You remember when His Excellency John Dramani Mahama appeared on the floor of the House during the State of the Nation address, he indicated forcefully that none of the Agenda 111 projects has been operationalized. This is one of the facilities that was commissioned. And so he has instructed me to inspect all the Agenda 111 projects and give me a blueprint as to how we can put them to good use. So we have come to inspect the Trader 1. As you have seen for yourself, the place is still under construction. So I am informed that the outstanding debts, if you like, commitment, as we speak, is over 100 million Ghana cedis.
Health Minister Kwabena Minta-Kando there. Nanaya Ojima is with him and joins us on the line. Nanaya, which other facilities has the minister inspected so far?
So from the minister straight to hospital to this half.
Nanaya, kindly reposition yourself. Your line is breaking. Nanaya, can you hear me? It's unfortunate that Nanaya Ojima's line is breaking. We can't reach him now. Now in Agaveji, one of the tidal wave affected communities in Keta South, families are being forced to exhume graves of their loved ones as the relentless sea reclaims their sacred resting places. Emmanuel Jivenu reports.
It's an emotional scene here at Agaveji. The final resting place for these loved ones is no more. One by one, graves are opened and bodies exhumed as the sea relentlessly claims what should be sacred ground. Ebenezer San is the assemblyman for Agaveji.
The sea have taken about 63 tons so far. The remaining bodies that my people get to, they have transferred them to other cemeteries.
The Agaveji community has been battling the rising tides for years. Now, the sea is evading cemeteries and washing away graves.
Where they have transferred those bodies to, if this sea defense project doesn't continue, those cemeteries too will be taken away by the tidal wave.
The coastal communities of Keta South are under siege. In just 7 days, tides have eroded vast areas, displacing families and threatening their very existence. Director for Institute of Environmental and Sanitation Studies at the University of Ghana, Professor Kwesi Epieni Addo, is calling for the shoreline to be stabilized.
Our main disastrous. We need to stabilize the shoreline. We could use a process called redredgement, where we align rocks along the coast and push it into the water and stabilize the shoreline. We don't have time on our side. We must stabilize the shoreline.
The community is calling for urgent attention. Their MP, Ablan Jifa Gomashi, assures the residents that the government is committed to finding a lasting solution.
I'm assuring them that they should have faith. Help is on the way.
But for these families, time is running out. As they carry the remains of their loved ones further inland, the fear remains. How long until the sea follows? Emmanuel Jivenu, Joy News, Agaveji, Volta region.
Well, did you know Mole National Park is nearly 1.5 times the size of Greater Accra? But that's not all. Mole is the only game reserve in the country that spans 3 regions and 5 districts, offering an unparalleled blend of biodiversity and cultural richness. Northern Regional Correspondent Martina Bugui reports.
The Mole National Park is home to Ghana's largest game reserve, arguably the reserve that has the largest natural animal inhabitants.
Welcome to the Mole National Park. We take a tour around the park to show you the beauty of the Mole National Park and the animals in there, the plants and the birds as well. Come along with me.
Established in 1958, it was named after the River Mole. Rakim Yusuf tells us about the park.
We have 94 species of mammals, 33 reptiles, 9 amphibians, 350 bird species, and over 700 tree species.
So what makes Mole the preferred destination for visitors? Patience Teteji shares her thoughts.
So big that it covers a land area a land area of 4,577 square kilometers, which is very greater than almighty Greater Accra. Mole National Park is so unique in the sense that it has this variety of biodiversity in terms of flora and fauna.
Whether you are a nature lover, wildlife enthusiast, or simply looking for a tranquil getaway, Mole National Park has something for everyone. For Joy News, Martina Bugui reporting.
Interesting report there, bringing us to the end of this afternoon's bulletin. I am Maame Esi Nyamekye Thompson. Up next is Living Word with Pastor.